When archaeologists discovered a 5,000-year-old Sumerian tablet describing nuclear weapons and flying machines, they realized something terrifying. These ancient civilizations knew things they shouldn't have known. But the real mystery isn't what they built, it's why they all suddenly disappeared. Let's start with the Sumerians, because their story sets the pattern for all the others. The Sumerians didn't just build cities, they built ziggurats, massive stepped pyramids that reached toward the sky. They claimed these were landing platforms for their gods, the Anunnaki, who they said came from a planet called Nibiru. Here's what's disturbing. Sumerian tablets described their solar system with precise accuracy, including planets that weren't officially discovered until the 20th century with telescopes. They knew about Neptune and Uranus thousands of years before modern astronomy. How? The Sumerians also developed cuneiform, the first writing system, not to write poetry or stories, but to keep records. Records of trade, laws, astronomical observations, and, disturbingly, records of their gods' activities. According to their texts, the Anunnaki created humans as a slave race to mine gold. They genetically engineered us by mixing their DNA with primitive hominids. Whether you believe that or not, what's undeniable is this: the Sumerians had advanced knowledge of genetics, astronomy, mathematics, and engineering that shouldn't have been possible for people living 5,000 years ago. And then around 2000 BCE, their civilization began to collapse. Cities were abandoned, knowledge was lost. It was as if someone turned off a switch. But before Sumer fell, their knowledge spread to Babylon, to Assyria, to Egypt, and somehow impossibly across oceans to civilizations that officially had no contact with the old world. Now we jump across the Atlantic Ocean to Mesoamerica, to a civilization that emerged around 2000 BCE in the jungles of Central America, the Maya. Like the Sumerians, the Maya appeared suddenly with sophisticated knowledge already in place. The Maya built massive stone cities in dense jungles, cities like Tikal, Copain, and Palenque, with pyramids that rivaled those of Egypt. But what's truly shocking is their astronomical knowledge. The Maya calculated the length of a solar year as 365.2420 days. Modern astronomy calculates it as 365.2422 days. They were off by only 0.0002 days. Without telescopes, the Maya accurately predicted solar eclipses, tracked Venus's cycles with precision that wouldn't be matched until the 20th century, and created a calendar system so complex it tracked cycles spanning millions of years. Their long count calendar famously predicted the end of an age in 2012, causing global panic. But here's what most people don't know. The Maya were obsessed with blood. Their religion required constant human sacrifice. Kings would pierce their own genitals and tongues, letting blood flow onto sacred paper, which they would burn to communicate with their gods. They believed that blood sustained the universe, that without it, the sun would stop rising, and time itself would end. The Maya also had a creation myth eerily similar to ancient Sumerian texts. They spoke of gods who came from the sky, who created humanity after several failed attempts, engineering us to be servants who would worship and sustain them with offerings and blood. Then, around 900 CE, at the height of their power, something happened. The Maya abandoned their greatest cities. Millions of people simply walked away from centuries of construction and disappeared into the jungle. Theories range from drought to disease to war, but none fully explain why one of the most advanced civilizations on Earth would just vanish. But the Maya weren't the only ones. Further south, in the Andes Mountains of South America, another impossible civilization was rising. The Inca Empire emerged in the 13th century CE in one of the most hostile environments on Earth, the high Andes Mountains of Peru. Within 200 years, they built the largest empire in pre-Columbian America, stretching over 2,500 miles along the western coast of South America. What makes the Incas extraordinary isn't just their size, but their engineering. They built Machu Picchu, a city at 8,000 feet elevation, with stones so precisely cut that you can't fit a knife blade between them. No mortar was used. The stones, some weighing over 100 tons, were cut and fitted with such precision that they've survived earthquakes that destroyed Spanish colonial buildings. Here's the mystery. The Incas had no written language, no wheels, no iron tools, and supposedly no knowledge of advanced mathematics. Yet they moved 100-ton stones up mountains and fitted them with millimeter precision. Modern engineers still can't explain how they did it. The Incas claimed their knowledge came from Viracocha, a bearded white god who came from across the sea, taught them civilization, and promised to return. Sound familiar? The Sumerians had Enki, the Maya had Kukulkan, the Aztecs had Quetzalcoatl. All described the same thing, advanced beings who came from elsewhere and gave humanity knowledge. The Incas also had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy, despite having no writing system. They used quipus, knotted strings, to record complex information, including astronomical data, census records, and mathematical calculations. Modern scholars still can't fully decode the quipu system. But the Incas had another obsession: gold. They covered entire temples in gold, calling it the sweat of the sun. They believed gold was sacred, a physical manifestation of divine power. They didn't value it as currency, but as a spiritual substance. This obsession with gold mirrors the Sumerian texts that claimed the Anunnaki came to Earth specifically to mine gold. In 1532, Spanish conquistadors arrived. Within a year, the Inca Empire, which had ruled for 300 years, fell. Their last emperor, Atahualpa, was captured and executed. The Spanish melted down tons of sacred gold artifacts and sent them to Europe. Entire libraries of quipus were burned by priests who called them works of the devil. In one generation, almost all Inca knowledge was destroyed. But before the Incas, there was one more civilization that needs to be understood: the Aztecs. The Aztec Empire rose in central Mexico in the 14th century CE, and by the time the Spanish arrived in 1519, they ruled over 5 million people from their capital city, Tenochtitlan, built on an island in the middle of a lake. Tenochtitlan was one of the largest cities in the world at that time, with a population of over 200,000. It had running water, sewage systems, floating gardens called chinampas, and a main pyramid, the Templo Mayor, where the Aztecs performed the most extreme human sacrifices in history. The Aztecs believed the universe had been created and destroyed 4 times before. We lived in the 5th sun, and it too would end in catastrophe unless the gods were fed. And the gods demanded blood. Not just any blood, but the blood of living human hearts ripped from the chest while still beating. During the dedication ceremony of the Templo Mayor in 1487, the Aztecs sacrificed an estimated 80,000 people over 4 days. Priests would cut open the victim's chest, tear out the still-beating heart, and offer it to the sun god Huitzilopochtli. The bodies were then thrown down the temple steps and, in some rituals, eaten. Why such extreme violence? The Aztecs believed that the sun was a warrior god fighting darkness every night. Without human blood and hearts, he would lose the battle and the universe would end. They believed they were literally keeping existence alive through sacrifice. But here's what's truly disturbing. The Aztec creation myth speaks of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god who created humanity by mixing his own blood with the bones of previous humans. Sound familiar? The Sumerians said the Anunnaki mixed their blood with primitive humans. The Maya said their gods created humans from maize and blood. The pattern repeats. The Aztecs also had advanced astronomical knowledge. They tracked Venus with extreme precision, believing it was the morning star form of Quetzalcoatl. They created accurate solar and ritual calendars. They practiced advanced medicine, including brain surgery, and had a complex herbal pharmacy. Then in 1519, Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés arrived. The Aztec emperor Moctezuma II believed Cortés might be Quetzalcoatl returning as prophesied. This belief, combined with Spanish weapons and European diseases, led to the fall of the Aztec Empire within 2 years. By 1521, Tenochtitlan was destroyed, and the Aztec civilization was erased. These ancient civilizations built wonders that we still can't fully replicate or explain. They possessed knowledge that shouldn't have existed. They described events and beings that sound like science fiction. And then they vanished, leaving behind only ruins, myths, and questions.